Hello, welcome back. So in today's video, we will be learning about fraction hacks that you can do in math that you've probably haven't heard of. Okay, so let's begin. We're going to write out the following fractions that we see here. So half and 24. So 1 over 2 and 24. Now you might be wondering, strange, does 24 look like a fraction to you? Well, of course not, because that's a number. And if you were thinking the same, you might be wondering, how do we make 24 a fraction? What number should we put in it to make it a fraction or denominator and make this transform into a numerator, though it's the original number itself? Well, what we can do is we could just mirror down a 1 here. So when you are doing a fraction that has a number displayed there, and it doesn't really show a fraction but just a number by itself, you just write down a 1 to make it a fraction. I wouldn't be surprised if you are thinking, this looks like an improper fraction, because it actually does, though this is just to show you how to make a number into a fraction for a case like this. We've spotted something over here though, this little buddy over here, of. Now what is of in math? In English, of is a term that you use in your sentence in order to describe something, like Game of Thrones. Now what is this game based on? All about? Well, it's based on thrones. I think it's about attacking, a civilization or something like that, that someone else has, and you just, and then you overtake it. So, please don't get mad at me if I don't, if I've answered you wrong, if you know a lot about Game of Thrones, because I'm not really interested in those things. But other examples are like trying to describe where your friend lives. He lives in the state of, let's say, he lives in the state of Nebraska, or he lives in the province of this, that. And when you are saying of, you are describing what the state name is. You're describing what is the state. You're trying to show them what it is, what the name of the state is, where your friend lives. And that's how we use of in a sentence. We use of in a sentence. That's the only current explanation I have so far. I'm pretty sure there's other meanings of aside from just describing, aside from just being a term to describe something. But in math, if you forgot like me, of actually means multiplication. So we put our times symbol right there, or our multiplying sign. Wait a minute. What is that? That looks like a decimal dot. Well, actually, a dot can be used to replace a fraction, a multiplication symbol. So if you are writing in a really small amount of space, maybe because you've written bigger ones and you just ended up getting it all wrong, it's just so hard to solve. Sometimes you just have to write a dot instead. Another one is when you are working with so-called like terms. When you are writing, when you are solving an algebraic expression or equation, in order to get it into an equation, especially if your variable is no other letter but x, then you have to make it into a dot so you would avoid confusion and not think that oh dear, the so-called like term actually has a partner with it that I'm missing all the time. Besides, if the multiplication sign was mistakenly thought of as a like term, then what do you do with the what do you do with the variables and the coefficient? What do you do with the group? What do you do with the like terms? Are you going to multiply them, divide them, or what? That's why we can put a dot, even though your variable is not x. Okay? So now that we have that, now that we have everything listed down here, let's go to multiplying it. Since we've been told to multiply these fractions, we're just gonna write, 1 times 24. We're gonna do them horizontally straight. So the denominators and the numerators won't switch their places. They're going to, it's like a straight road. There's no stopping, it's just gonna go straight. No simplifying, like in adding or in subtracting, which would waste a lot of your time because it takes hard, serious work just to solve the answer. That's why multiplying fractions are easier. So 1 times 24 is 24, and 2 times 1 is 2. That's the answer that you would get, but if you want to, you'd likely have to simplify it. There's actually going to be 2 of these examples, or 3, because if you look at the other one, it's going to be kind of different than what you've expected it to be. So 24 divided by 2, here's our simplified answer. 24 divided by 2 is 12. We're not gonna make it look like a fraction, but if you guys are doing that, this is how it should look. This is how it should look like. That's just a longer way of doing it, and it's not really, important. Alright. Aside from just writing the division symbol, you could or writing the box when it comes to division. There's 2 ways you could write that box. Aside from those things are what includes in the ways of dividing a fraction. A fraction is when you switch the numerator and denominator numbers, you would make, especially if they're divisible, then that would turn out to be a division problem. So instead of doing what I just did there, or doing this, we could just simply do this. Now, 24 divided by 2, if you look in your multiplication table, you'd get 12. Because 12 times 2 is 24. Or 24 divided by 12, which equals 2. Now, what is the other way that you can do this as I promised? Well, the faster and direct answered way of doing this is doing what exists in math, which is called cross multiplication. When you cross multiply, make sure you draw a tilted oval, galaxy, or a stadium of revolution, whatever, you name it. You could do circles too. When you cross multiply, you'll get this is the faster route that you can take, and you'll reach a direct answer. So we will put circles in here, since there will be a third example, and we'll make this into an X characterized, characteristic, character like looking symbol. And like I said, X and multiplication symbols look the same, unless it's like a horizontal or lie flat placed version of an X, like this. So we cross out the divisible numbers. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Should have done that instead. And 24 divided by 2 is 12, as we've seen in our previous problem or example. And we multiply with 1. So 1 times 12 is 12, and 1 times 1 is 1. This would still mean 12 because, like we saw with the 24, when you see a 1 here, that means that the numerator would become a number and would be the number version of the answer, the main. The other example of doing this is multiplying like this. So we see these two. So it would look like this if we remove the circle and the other fraction numbers, I guess the numerators and the circles and all of that, and we would get an answer which is really going to lead us to the same, 12. Okay, so that is all that I have to show you for today, which is about these fractions, the tips of what to do with these fractions. And if you were excited, if you've discovered something new, or have been excited to have found yourself in a relieved video when you are solving a problem like this, because you've thought, how can I do this? Because this looks so easy to do, but I don't know how to do it. Anyways, if this in simplified words, in other words, if this helped you a lot, feel free to like, share to others who need help with the same thing. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell, which is an extra option that you will see once you click that subscribe button. There are 2 options that I've recently seen. You can either get personalized ones, maybe ones that are related. I don't know, because I don't really select that. Or you could select the all option of the notification bell, which shows a fully juiced bell. It's not empty, it's light grayish, if you don't know how that looks like. So this is all that I have for you today, and other ones to say are God bless, stay safe, and hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.